What is going on, EXO community? EXOStomp here, and today we're actually going to be going over our team for the EDL. And today we're also here with Galaxybomb.
Hello, everyone.
And so, starting off, we did pick a tier 1, but we're actually going to go in order just to make it easier for you guys. So we're going to start off with Mega Sableye. What do you want to say about that, Galaxy?
I think Mega Sableye is a very strong pick in a lot of different scenarios. It's very defensive, and it has, of course, Magic Bounce, so if it can Mega Evolve and then switch into maybe a predicted Stealth Rock or something along those lines, it can swing momentum in our favor quite nicely. It can also set up with something like a Calm Mindset, so it can be a pretty potent offensive threat. Of course, that is something like Knockoff for utility. And really, it can be used in a lot of different ways, both in terms of stall, but also in terms of wall breaking. So I think it's just overall very powerful.
Okay, I definitely agree with that. It does serve a lot of roles because it can be very powerful, especially because it only has one weakness, so that is great. Alright, so for our tier 1 pick, and, well, it's basically going to be Zygarde, 50%. We drafted it mainly because this Pokemon is extremely powerful, even without the, its great ability of being at 100% Zygarde form. So, it has Dragon Dance and Coil, which it actually can use both at the same time and be fine. Extremely tanky, extremely hard to kill, especially with, of course, we have said Coil. And it can use Thousand Arrows, which basically hits anything. Hits flying types, hits, I mean, honestly, you name it, hits Levitate Mons. So that move alone is really, you could just rely on that move and kill everything, which is great. It also gives us our Dragon type for our Dragon Fairy Steel Core, which we will go over the next one here. Unless you want to talk about more about Zygarde, you have anything to add?
I think you covered it pretty well.
Okay. Alright. So here with the Fairy type is going to be Ninetales.
So Ninetales in Alola form is very powerful because of its Snow Warning ability to set up Hail without having to waste a turn. It also, of course, learned Aurora Veil, so it can be very powerful when you use Aurora Veil. If they don't have any kind of weather effects, you can pretty much set it up very freely and allow your Pokemon to do pretty much whatever they need to do without having any threat of getting taken down suddenly. It also learns, of course, Freeze Dry, so it can take down water types very easily, and its Fairy and Ice typing is pretty defensive, plus it's got good defensive stats, so it acts as a very nice utility and support Pokemon for our team.
Okay, yeah. I definitely agree with that. I don't think there's anything else to add. It's a great Pokemon. For number 3, though, we have Emboar. So, Emboar is actually really cool in that it has the ability Reckless, which means that anything that gives it recoil will give it more power. So, stuff like Head Smash, Wild Charge, Flare Blitz, which it learns all of those, gets way more power. So this Pokemon is going to be hitting hard, and it's actually a Fire type, which is going to give us one of our parts of our other core, which is the Fire, Grass, Water core. And it also learns a few moves that are a little weird, like Scald, which we could run if we're running like defensive Emboar, which could happen. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it learns a ton of different moves. Even stuff like Grass Knot learns Heavy Slam. Just you name it. It has so much coverage, and I think that's why we wanted to pick it up in the 3rd slot. You have anything else to add?
Sounds good to me.
All right. For number 4, we have Smeargle.
So everyone knows Smeargle. Smeargle can learn pretty much any move, and that's why even though its stats are atrocious, it can be a very nice pickup in case we need to run something like a Spore set. Maybe we need an extra Rapid Spin or Stealth Rock user. Depending, it's extremely flexible. So even though it's very weak, it can use whatever we need it to in case we need to run extra of a certain type of strategy. So pretty much whatever we need it to do, it can do, and that's why Smeargle's great.
I 100% agree with that. I think Smeargle just covers it all. Whatever you need, it can cover, which is awesome. For number 5, we do have Rotom Frost. So, not the best Rotom, of course, but it is a Rotom that does work well in Hail, which we do have. Has Blizzard, which is great. Has Nasty Plot, so we can maybe Nasty Plot under Auroraville, which is pretty cool. It has T-Bolt, Volt Switch. I mean, you name it. You know Rotoms. If you don't know already, it does have sort of a linear playstyle, but with Rotom Frost, it's going to be a little fun because I actually never used Rotom Frost in a draft, and I think it's going to be pretty fun, especially under Auroraville. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's a little bit on the weaker side of the Rotoms, but with our fairly defensive teams, like you said, with Aurora Veil, I think it can help us gain momentum quite a bit because it'll have extra survivability from the rest of our team.
Awesome. Oh, we actually missed something. It also learns Defog, which is pretty cool.
Right.
Which it can be running heavy duty boost, which is pretty cool. But for our first free agency, our tier 1 free agency is going to be Corviknight.
So Corviknight's pretty interesting because I believe originally we were looking at Celesteela, which is also a steel flying type, for our pickup. But we settled on Corviknight, and I think it works better in our team because of the amount of different flexibility in terms of moves it has. It's very defensive, and it also learns Body Press. So running that kind of sweeping setup with a defensive approach is quite powerful. But it also, of course, learns Defog, as well as I believe it also learns U-turn. So it can be used in a lot of different roles while also staying as a defensive wall and being that kind of part of the team. So again, very flexible, but also has a lot of potency in its main role, which is as a defensive wall.
Yeah. Yeah. It basically, exactly like you said. And its pluses from Celesteela is mainly, of course, you said Body Press. It also has Roost, which Celesteela doesn't, and it also has U-turn. It has Defog, so it has more options than what Celesteela has in terms of what it gives us. Because if you look, our Defoggers consisted of Rotom Frost and maybe Smeargle.
Yeah.
And then we had Starmie with Rabbit Spin. But other than that, like, there was nothing. So Corviknight actually gives us a reliable defogger, which is great. For our tier 2 free agency, we have Starmie. So, actually, you want to talk about Starmie?
Starmie is pretty interesting because it, of course, has its offensive prowess, being a very fast water psychic type. It has, Hydro Pump and Psyshock and all different types of moves that allow it to be an offensive presence. And with the recent buff to Rapid Spin boosting speed, it also is able to kind of set up a little bit on more defensive or wall-like mons that would set up rocks or other hazards. Plus the fact that it has a lot of different offensive options like Thunderbolt and various different moves. It can really come into play with anything and kind of catch people off guard by hitting them with something they didn't expect it to run. And I think that's why Starmie is pretty potent with our composition.
Yeah, Starmie learns a lot of things. Actually, I mean, you sort of just took the words out of my mouth there. So, yeah, Starmie does do a lot for us, and the fact that it's also a water type, which again helps our core. We at this point, what are we missing? We finished our Fairy Dragon Steel core with Zygarde, Ninetales, and Corviknight, which is great. We're just missing the grass type, which we'll get to. And for our next free agency is actually going to be a tier 4, I believe. It's going to be Garbodor. So I like Garbodor because it is a grounded poison, which is nice. It learns spikes and toxic spikes, which is also nice. Can also run either special or physical bulk or special or offensive pressure. That being with like its stats, which 95 attack, which is a lot better than 60 special attack. But I mean, look, it could run like body press, which is nice. It could learn. It does learn like Giga Drain, Psychic, T-Bolt. It learns a lot of moves that it could make it good on the special side. Its stats don't say it, but really it's just here to set up either spikes, toxic spikes, or get rid of toxic spikes in general. There's not much to say about it. It is a good Pokemon, at least how I feel about it, but I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I don't know. I think it's trash.
Alright, well, alright, look, just because it looks like trash, alright? Look, it's fine, alright? Anyways, for our Tier 5 free agency, the one, the only Cradily.
I love Cradily. Cradily has a lot of utility, and as a defensive pivot, it's really strong. Of course, it has Water Absorb, and since Dracovish is in this draft, it will be very nice to have against that team. But of course, it also learns Stealth Rocks, and its Grass Rock typing is pretty good because things that would hit that grass core super effectively just hit it neutrally, like Flying and Fire, which are pretty common types. And because of its rather defensive stats, it can tank a lot of damage very effectively. And while it doesn't do too much on the offensive side, it can really help buy us some time if we need to, stall something out. So I think it's a very good pickup for us.
Yeah, I definitely do too. There's a lot of Pokemon that you have used or you like some stuff like Sableye. You like, I know, we both used Corviknight in our playthrough, which is funny.
Yeah.
And then you like Cradily, and we were actually thinking about Chandelure, but having two ghost types is a little weird, and then we wanted a fighting type, so it sort of worked out for Emboar, but nonetheless, that is actually going to be our team builder. But actually, we didn't talk about our Z picks.
Oh, that's right. Rotom Frost and Starmie.
Okay. I think Rotom Frost. Well, let's go over Starmie first. Yeah.
I mean, Starmie is almost a given because it's our most versatile Pokemon in terms of offense. It can learn a lot of different moves, so we can pretty much put all sorts of different Z crystals on it depending on what we're up against. Say we need a very powerful electric move, we could put Electrium Z on it and use its Thunderbolts, stuff like that. So it has a lot of flexibility in that regard, and otherwise we'd probably just put a Life Orb on it. So it's pretty efficient in terms of the fact that that's the Pokemon that we're using for one of our Z captains.
Yeah. Yep, that makes sense.
Rotom Frost.
Of course. So, Rotom Frost. It's, if we had to choose a tier 5, it wasn't gonna be Cradily that that has one. So Rotom Frost has to be it. It has electric moves. It's got an ice move that's decent. It's got a few other moves like Hex and can nasty plot up and use a Z, which is cool. It has a few techs which are pretty cool, but it was basically like, well, we want Starmie, so then we have to choose a tier 5, and it wasn't going to be Cradily. So Rotom Frost it is, I guess.
I think it'll be more powerful than what might be expected.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely catch people off guard, I think. But with that, that's actually going to be it. Do you have anything else to say?
I think we're going to easily stomp our opposition.
I hope so too. Alright guys, this was the team builder, and I will see you all next time. Peace.